On board sailing vessel Tautog, currently at anchor in Key Largo, Florida. I have the dinghy on deck, and that means I'm getting underway. So episode 61, taking this vessel from Key Largo at anchor to at anchor in Fort Pierce or to someplace else. Fort Pierce is a destination. We'll see how it turns out. So enjoy the episode, and I do look forward to your comments at the end. So enjoy. Thanks. June 26th, it's Sunday morning, it's time 11:05. I just picked up the anchor. I decided to try to make some eastward progress while I have a southerly sea breeze, which should go most of the day. And it really ought to. It should go till 5 or 6 p.m. And then I'll pull back off to the side and anchor for the night, because I know it's going to be calm again tonight. And I should get proper winds tomorrow. But they're going to be mostly out of the east. So the heading I'm on is 075 degrees magnetic, and that's perfect for getting me in this leg of Hawk Channel and making the first turn. And once I make the first turn, that's a 30-degree turn to port. So I will be doing like 035, 040, something like that at that point. And what I don't want to do is wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow the winds will be stronger and they'll be out of the east and southeast, and this heading would be very, very difficult to do if the winds were out of the east. I couldn't steer 075, but I can do it today, even though it's going to be slow goings. So today there will be not one complaint about slow winds, not one complaint about the hydrovane, because it can't work in the slow winds. I tried already, and it's all over the place. So I'm hand steering. I won't use the engine. I'm just going to I'm making 2.5 knots, which is fine, and that'll get me in 6 hours. You can do the math. That's pushing 15 miles, and that's enough to get to the north end of Key Largo, and I'll have made my turn, and I'll be on a more northward heading. And if I could keep on going on that, I'll just keep going on that until the wind dies today. And then I'll anchor. In the morning, I should wake up to have some pretty decent easterly breezes, and then I get busy and head out off the reef. So that's the plan. And that's mosquito bank light. So that is something you want to definitely take down your starboard side, or you will be on the rocks. And we don't need to come that close. It's good water. I could steer anything from 090 to 060 and be in pretty good shape water-wise. So, and I'm just kind of meandering in between. Slow goings, 2.5 knots, maybe 3 knots, 4 knots once when I got a puff of wind. And I'm hand steering, so this is going to be fatiguing. So I'm glad I'm only going about 5 or 6 hours today. Yeah, so if you look at the wind predictions today, pretty much nothing. But the wind predictors don't do a great job of predicting sea breeze. Sea breeze is a phenomena. Sea breeze is a phenomena that occurs when the warm air over land, in this case the Everglades, which is beyond the Keys, not by a long distance though. When the air over the land heats up and begins to rise, it draws in air from the sea. So that's why people who live on the seashore often get a nice cool breeze this time of day, and it happens mostly in the afternoon. I felt it starting to kick up on an otherwise completely calm day around 10:30. I decided to leave at 11, and by 11:05 I was underway. So I'm happy. I mean, that's because I was ready. I had just re-anchored the boat to a new spot, and so I was kind of feeling operational, not feeling lazy today. So the sea breeze, that's my friend today, because it's coming from the south, and my first 3 hours of sailing is going to be primarily easterly sailing, so that's hard to do when the winds are out of the east, which is what they'll be tomorrow. It's about a quarter mile away. I was actually kind of nervous for a minute there because this boat is clearly under power. This is a motor-driven vessel, and when he's got his sails down and he's under power, he should maneuver around me, but we had a collision course and that we were both going to approach at the same point we were going to hit. And I kept waiting for him to turn to starboard, and he finally did just now. So, sheesh. But you know, people turn on their autopilots and then they get distracted, they walk off and they go make a sandwich or whatever, and so that's what happens. So I'm hand steering right now because the winds are so fickle I can't use my wind vane. So I'm pretty much sentenced to hand steering all day. So I'm just scoping out the boat now. Looks like a cruiser alright. He's got diesel and gasoline cans all over the deck. His hull has got mildew on the side and it's dirty and scuffed up. He's got a dinghy, he's got a wind vane, he's got a wind generator. So he's pretty well decked out. Don't know why he's not sailing though. He can sail in this one. They have engines. I can hear all the engines running. Cheaters. Monday morning sunrise at sea, about 21 hours. Of course I'm an anchor now. I don't care who you are, that's pretty. Wow. Hey, good morning. It's June 27, around 10 a.m. and I just crossed the reef, so thank goodness for that. Boy, I am so thankful to be out of Hawk Channel. That was nerve-wracking for me. Right now I'm looking at a depth of about 65 feet of water, and it's going to get nothing but deeper for me. Just about 5 minutes ago it was 12-13 and I could see the coral formations down there. Very, very beautiful. It's swimming pool clean water here. Off to my port side is the port of Miami. I don't know how well you can see. That's the city of Miami. And to the right of it is Miami Beach, of course. And I'm struggling with my hydrovane, of course, because the air is pretty light. But I really don't want to be hand steering all day. I've got to start trusting this machine and seeing what it'll do to me or for me. As long as I maintain a heading between 030 and 090, I'm really actually happy as can be. But right now, it's just not playing ball with old Russ here, because I'm not far off the reef, so we got to be mindful of that. I need to progress to the east, and it has got me all over the map right now. So I'm going to turn this off real quick and try to struggle some more with the hydrovane. Cheers. Well, update, 2 p.m. It's Monday. And I'd say it's a great day to be alive. And I've had a great day at a high level because I woke up at anchor on a sailboat in a beautiful place right off of Old Road Ski down in the Florida Keys. Closer to Miami than down the rest of the Keys, of course, but come on, man. And I had a really good wind for the first hour of the day, and I was able to sail out of the anchorage, and I sailed up Hawk Channel for a little ways, and I continued in Hawk Channel all the way until I got past Elliott Key. Then I cut across the reef and got to open water. So at a high level, it's been a lovely day, but it has been a very frustrating sailing day. Like, the winds are just so fickle. I mean, they were predicted on the, if you look at predict wind right now, it's showing steady southeasterly winds, and that's not what I've got. I've got easterly winds that come and go. Sometimes the sea becomes glassy smooth with no air moving, and sometimes I've got a pretty steady 10-knot breeze, and I can do some business there. I mean, right now I'm moving about probably 2.5, 3 knots of boat speed through the water, but my overall speed is about 2 knots faster than that, making 4.5 to 5.5 depending when I look, because I'm in the Gulf Stream. So I'm not complaining about anything except this hydrovane self-steering rig is I'm not ever going to endorse it to anybody. It's a perfect tool if you're on an oceanic crossing and you've got miles and miles of sea room and your winds are pretty rock steady. I'm sure it works just fine, but if you're trying to do coastal cruising, for God's sake, run away. Don't ever buy one of these things. It's fickle. It doesn't. I mean, it was fully 40 degrees off my intended course to port, and it kept on putting on left rudder. It just, it's so hard to adjust in to get it so it's maintaining the heading you want to have. Something I'm thinking to do. I was mentioning to my brother a minute ago that maybe I just don't have the temperament for this. I don't want stormy, crazy conditions where I'm heeled way over and I'm rolling 50 degrees side to side and ripping up my sails like I had my last long trip. But I also don't like being becalmed, and I don't like fickle things. I like steady, I guess, and so maybe it's not for me. That's what we have to figure out as we go through our lives and we try new things. A great man, a friend of mine over in Abu Dhabi said once, "Don't be afraid to not like it." So I love a lot of this part of the life, but actually sailing in Florida with these fickle winds, whew, buddy, I think right now I'm going to go to Green Cove Springs, finish the work on the boat, and I'm going to get on some oceanic passages and maybe try those, because this coastal hopping is very frustrating, because as a single-hander, I can't leave the wheel because the hydrovane in 80% of the conditions I face can't steer the boat. Anyway, so that's Miami over my port shoulder here, and I could log that I've passed Miami, and I'm approaching Fort Lauderdale now, which is over here. That's the city of Fort Lauderdale, with the big skyscrapers. And so I'm making good progress. My plan for the evening, oh boy, my plan for the evening is probably just sail as best I can. Try to catch a few naps in here. Excuse me, trying to get a nap or two. Then I'm going to sail as best I can until the wind stops, and I believe it is going to stop tonight. That wasn't the original forecast, but it is now. So, damn. Well, there ain't no telling what I look like, so it's just as well that it's hard for me to see the screen. I'm tired. Maybe I am too old for this. Jeez, me. What a rough afternoon. So I got underway like 12 hours ago from Old Rhodes Key, which is pretty much the north end of the Florida Keys, on the Biscayne Bay end of it. Let's see here. So I had wind for the first hour, which was perfect, and it got me up the channel for a ways, and then the wind began to die, so I turned on the motor because I was in the channel. Then I got to my turnoff point and I crossed the reef. I did that under power and sail, motor sailing. Had the sails up and I was powering. I finally crossed the reef south of Miami, near a place called Fowey Rocks, but it was a little bit south of that actually. I didn't go by the Fowey Rock light, I went south of that. And then I got completely becalmed. And then I ran the motor for a little while to try to get some separation from the land, because when I got becalmed I began drifting north with the Gulf Stream, but I was very, very close to land. Didn't like that one bit, so I gave myself some sea room, about 2-3 miles, and then I stopped motoring again and just drifted. Excuse me, and then it was an early afternoon of frustration, just trying to get the hydrovane to work with light wind trying to get the wind to be less fickle, because the wind would start, wind would stop, wind would start, wind would stop, and the hydrovane behind me here can't manage that. The hydrovane more or less requires steady wind. And then I finally got some sea breeze in the afternoon, and I had about an hour and a half of perfect sailing. I mean, just tranquil, almost like, you know, they would call a booze cruise. You know, you could feel like opening a couple of beers or a glass of rum and just kind of relaxing and enjoying the day. And I did enjoy it when I had it, but it got much more robust the last 3 hours. Man, I was hitting 8.5 knots over ground, so that kind of takes into account the Gulf Stream as well. But I was easily doing 6 knots through the water most of the last 3 hours. And now that's finally dying down, and I'm glad for it. I don't want to go 8 knots through the night. I want tranquil, quiet conditions to slowly sail through the night. I would go ahead and becalm me. I'll just drift through the night, turn on every light I've got so no one hits me, and I'll just sleep out. And I'll see where I am in the morning. So the question is, where am I? I am about 5 miles offshore from Boca Raton, and about 30 miles south of West Palm Beach. And West Palm is significant because just north of West Palm is the Lake Worth Inlet, and that would be my first divert path if I just could not keep my eyes open. That's 30 miles away. And I could head into Lake Worth. There's anchorage right inside the inlet, and I could just stop there. But the St. Lucie Inlet is only 30 miles or 35 miles beyond that. So really, you kind of think, if I can make it to Lake Worth, surely I can suck it up for another 6 hours and make it to St. Lucie or Jupiter, not Jupiter, Fort Pierce. So I don't know what I'll do in that department because that hasn't happened yet. So right now it's almost 7 o'clock. It'll be dark soon. I've already reefed down. I've already tied in one reef to the main. I've already reduced the head sail. And right now I'm just kind of on a beam reach, which is getting easier by the minute because the seas are starting to quiet down now. Thank you for that. It might be a pretty pleasant evening where I can get some sleep and also continue to not crash into the beach, which is only 5 miles away. Stay out in the Gulf Stream enough to get a 2-knot assist, and then maybe when I wake up in the morning or when dawn comes, I'll be sitting right off of St. Lucie and Fort Pierce. So we'll see. But for now, I'll sign off, and then I'm gonna get ready for my evening, my nighttime prep stuff. I do a topside inspection before it's dark to see if there's anything really funky. Once I got caught because a topping lift was fouled up. Once, of course, I broke in a halyard. Once I had some loose gear in the dinghy, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just kind of doing a walkthrough, top and bottom of the boat, make sure everything looks good for nighttime, and then just hope the winds continue to lay down and the seas continue to lay down through the night. That would really suit me at this point. I'm tired, man. So you can prove it's me. That's me, my hands over the compass. I'm just sitting here, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm making about 4 knots north, but most of that is courtesy of the Gulf Stream, because it is really ripping, and that's why I pushed myself out about 7 miles from the shore. If you see lights in the background, that's the shoreline. That would be the cities just north of West Palm Beach, and to be honest, I don't know what they are. I've got about 30 miles before I get to the St. Lucie area. I could go into the St. Lucie Inlet or the Fort Pierce Inlet to get to the same place. And we'll just see. So I'm making 4 knots. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, blah, blah, blah. You can do the math, and probably about 7 hours before I'm kind of in striking range. And if the wind is still dead, at some point I would turn on the motor and get in there, but I'm content to drift right now. If I tucked in close to shore right now, first, that'd be dangerous because I can run aground if I fell asleep. Second, if I tucked in close to shore, then I lose the 2-knot advantage I'm getting because of the Gulf Stream. So here I will stay. I'm steering almost a straight north course. The hydrovane is actually working pretty well right now. Hasn't been without a lot of cursing, and the head sail is flopping around because the wind is directly astern. It's hard to keep it full. Good morning. Good morning. It's a few minutes after 6 a.m. Tuesday, 28 June. And it's almost dawn. The sun will be up in a little bit. But I'm going to turn on my navigation lights now anyway. So we're sailing with just a head sail right now. I suppose I could put up the main, but it really, in the past, that hasn't worked out too well. When I have the wind at the back of the boat, you kind of have to pick one of the two to go with, and I picked the Genoa because I can control that from the cockpit, and I don't have to go forward. Last night I had two big squalls. The first of which, the wind, it was very, very short squall. I mean, it didn't last 2 minutes, but the wind that preceded the rainfall was very strong. And it, I had the mainsail out at that time, and the Genoa out, and the main was doing most of the power driving, and it caught the wind, and it really spun me, you know, rolled me too quite a bit. I rolled probably 40 degrees over, and I just put it, spun the boat into the wind to kind of settle things out and just waited out the squall, and it was done, I swear, in 2 minutes. And that kind of convinced me I wanted to take the mainsail down, but didn't convince me enough because I didn't want to go forward in the dark while the boat was rolling around. And then I got another squall about an hour later, and then I finally hitched down my harness and I went forward and took down the main. And I've been sailing under the Genoa all night. While I was in the Gulf Stream, we were making about 6.5 knots over ground. Now we're down to about 3.5, 4, because I'm out of the Gulf Stream now. My location is about 5 miles off the coast of Hutchinson Island. That's those hotels you see out there. Well, technically condos. Those white buildings. Maybe you can't see them. There's some condos on the beach there. And that's about 5.5, 6 miles away, distance-wise. And I need to go to the north end of that island. So my total travel time remaining is about 15, 20 miles. So it'll be at least another 4 or 5 hours before I pull in. It's heartbreaking because you feel so close. And even if you put on the engine, you're not going to go a hell of a lot faster. So I'm just going to be patient and just let the miles tick off. We're getting there. We're slowly closing the coast. We're slowly getting closer. And I figure when I pass red number 12, that's a marker I'm supposed to be seeing in another couple miles here. When I pass it, and I'm more or less adjacent to the nuclear plant, then I'm going to point straight west and put the sails on the opposite side of the boat and and close the distance down to within a mile or two. That makes me feel better. It really does. Because I always have this morbid fear that I'm going to drift right past it and I won't be able to make a round, and that the current is going to keep carrying me beyond. So I like to be close in when I'm ready to be close in. And now that it's almost daylight, I can see what the hell I'm doing. So being a mile offshore is no place to be when it's dark, but it's okay now. So I think first I'll get some food, and then I'm going to turn off my nav lights. And we're just going to kind of slack off in the morning. Hope this wind keeps up all morning. It's supposed to. It's supposed to be pretty dead this afternoon, but I think the wind's supposed to keep going all morning. So. Okay. Time 12:43. Anchored, Fort Pierce. Wow, that was dodgy. Okay. That was dodgy because anchor beer, remember, I touched the anchor. If you touch it, you get to have one. That was dodgy all the way. I expected the inlet itself to be pretty rough out on the ocean side, and it was. Very bouncy. Because you got to imagine, it was the same way in Cancun. You got to imagine the bottom is coming up to the shore, the wind is blowing all the water onto the shore, and the wind wants all that water to go. And of course the bottom is coming up. And at the same time, there's a strong tidal current coming out of the channel. So where the two meet, it's very, very bouncy. Oh my God. And that tidal current was every bit of 2.5 knots. I was not prepared for that. So it was what I thought would take me 30 minutes to get to this anchorage location. It took me over an hour. And I came at high water, so I thought it'd be slack tide, high slack water. And I didn't think there'd be a lot of water moving, but I need to go talk to some of the harbor masters and ask them what's the secret, because I don't want to do that again on the way out of here. Wow. Wow is all I can say. I mean, I swear, I mean, I was tempted to just turn around and say, to hell with this. You know, I promised my friends I'd come. But I didn't know this one was going to be that bad. Whew, baby. Okay. I'm going to decompress. Make sure I don't drag anchor, then chill out and relax and not do anything today except clean up and sleep. And then find a marina, because I'm actually going to spend I want to spend a week at anchor here, most of a week, and then I want to go into a marina for a few days just to thoroughly decompress before I make the jump up to Jacksonville. At least that's my current plan. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So, anyway, cheers.